Hey everyone! Seems like a lot of you are curious about the SpaceX Crew-10 launch delay.
Yeah, lots of buzz.
We're diving deep today into an article called NASA Delays SpaceX Crew-10 Launch to Finalize a New Dragon Spacecraft to try to get to the bottom of it.
Should be interesting.
Right. So basically, the mission is being pushed to March 2025. And that's all because they're building a brand new Dragon spacecraft.
It's more than just building it, though. It kind of shows how NASA is changing how they think about safety.
So why a whole new Dragon?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be faster to just use one that's already flown?
You'd think, right. But each Dragon is super customized with the latest tech.
Huh.
It's not a one-size-fits-all thing.
Interesting.
This new one might have, better life support.
Oh, wow.
Or more efficient solar arrays.
Okay.
Maybe even improve radiation shielding.
Wow.
All that takes time to design, build, and then test.
Makes sense. Like when you're sending people into space, you
Yeah,
don't want to
right.
skip any steps. So less about fixing things and more about always getting better,
Pretty much.
even if it takes longer. But
Yeah.
what are the astronauts doing while they're waiting for this new Dragon to be ready?
Oh, they're busy getting ready, too.
Right.
And this crew is really interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's a worldwide team.
Oh, yeah. We've got Anne McClain and Nickel Ayers from NASA.
Yep.
Anne's the commander. Nickel's the pilot.
Right.
But it's not just Americans, is it?
Nope, not at all.
Who else is on the team?
We've got Takuya Onishi from JAS.
Okay.
That's the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency.
Right, of course.
And then there's Kirill Peskov from Roscosmos.
And that's the Russian space agency.
Right, exactly.
It's pretty cool how space exploration is such a global thing now.
Totally different from, the old space race days.
Yeah, no more competition, just everyone working together.
Pushing the limits of what we know.
But speaking of crews, there's already one up on the ISS now, right?
Yep, cruise now.
And they'll be handing things over to Crew-10.
Like a relay race in space.
What's that handover like? Seems tricky.
It's kind of like when you're moving out of your house and another family's moving in at the same time.
Oh, I see.
It takes a lot of planning.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about the ISS. It's a pretty complicated place.
You don't want to accidentally pack up something important, like the space toilet paper or something.
Exactly. Something's got to stay.
Yeah.
So Crew-9 has to, shut down certain parts,
Okay.
move important supplies around,
Oh.
make sure Crew-10 knows how everything works.
So it's more than just handing over the keys?
That's a whole process.
Wow, like a carefully choreographed dance or something.
Pretty much.
Both crews working together to make sure everything keeps running.
Seamlessly.
Very cool. Now, what about the current crew up there?
Oh, Expedition 72.
Yeah, what are they up to?
They've been super busy.
With what?
Lots of research, cutting-edge stuff in astrophysics,
Whoa.
Earth observation,
Hmm?
even testing new tech for future space missions.
Wow, so it's not just floating around looking at the stars.
Oh, definitely not. It's hard work.
They got any cool new stuff from the recent resupply mission?
Besides the usual stuff like food and water and all that.
Yeah.
Seems they got some special treats for the holidays.
Ah, that's nice. It can't be easy being away from family and friends, especially during the holidays.
Right.
So it's great they get a little taste of home up there.
It really shows how dedicated they are.
Yeah, these long missions really show how much humans want to explore.
Yeah, we're so curious about the universe.
And it's like the ISS is a stepping stone for even bigger things.
Exactly, like going to the moon or Mars.
But before we get into all that,
Yeah?
let's talk about one of the Expedition 72 astronauts who's about to head back to Earth.
Oh, Dom Ped.
Yeah, he's finishing up his time on the ISS.
His mission's coming to an end.
And he'll be taking the Soyuz back down.
Right.
These astronauts are amazing, spending 6 months in space.
It's incredible.
That's longer than some people's vacations. It makes you wonder what that does to your body.
Well, that's actually one of the big things they're researching on the ISS.
Oh, really?
They're studying how microgravity affects everything.
Like what?
Bone density, muscle mass,
Okay.
even your heart, your immune system.
Wow.
It's all about understanding the challenges of long space flights.
And figuring out how to stay healthy up there.
Exactly.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, it's like they're not just explorers, they're part of a giant science experiment.
Trying to figure out how humans can live in space long term.
Exactly. It's all super important for planning missions to the moon and Mars.
So we're basically writing the rule book for space travel as we go along.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of Crew-10,
Right.
let's talk about their training.
Yeah, what are they doing to get ready while they wait?
It's pretty intense stuff.
I bet.
Yeah, it's not like, a walk in the park or anything.
I bet it's pretty hardcore. What do they actually do? It's not like there's a space school down the street.
Right. It's really specialized training.
Yeah.
Lots of time in simulators,
Ah, that's
learning all about the Dragon spacecraft
okay.
and the ISS, like inside and out,
Got it.
to practice docking,
Hmm.
emergency procedures, even spacewalks.
Spacewalks. To do what?
Like if they have to repair something outside
Oh, wow.
or install new equipment.
So it's all about like technical stuff and knowing what to do if something goes wrong.
Yeah, you could say that.
But there's got to be more to it than that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like what?
Teamwork's huge.
I can imagine they're all stuck together up there.
Exactly. They have to be able to work together like a well-oiled machine.
And a tiny space, millions of miles away.
Millions of miles.
Well, you know what I mean.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I get it.
High pressure situation.
Absolutely.
So communication, problem solving, all that jazz.
Super important.
Makes sense. They're practically living together, right? Like roommates.
Basically. Except her house is hurtling through space.
Exactly.
Right.
So teamwork, what else?
The mental and emotional side of things is really important too.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
These astronauts are away from everyone they know for a long time.
Months and months.
Right. And it's not exactly a relaxing environment.
Yeah, that's got to be tough.
So they have psychological evaluations.
Okay.
And they get training to deal with stress and being isolated.
Being all alone up there, that's got to be tough.
And then there's just, like, the weirdness of it all.
What do you mean?
Well, living in microgravity changes everything.
Like what?
Even simple things, like sleeping or eating,
Right.
it's all different.
Wow, I hadn't thought about that.
And then there's always the danger.
Yeah, space is not exactly a safe place.
Exactly. So they have to be ready for anything.
So it's like astronaut training is a crash course in everything.
Pretty much. Rocket science, psychology, you name it.
Wow. While we're on the topic of pushing boundaries, what about the future of the ISS itself?
Oh, that's a good question.
As we look ahead to going to the moon and Mars, where does the ISS fit in?
It's something the whole space community is trying to figure out.
Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, it's been an amazing platform for research.
For over 20 years, right?
Yeah, and for international collaboration.
It's a symbol of that.
Totally.
Mm.
But as we aim for bigger goals in space, there are questions about how sustainable the ISS is.
Okay.
And how relevant it'll be for these future missions.
So what are the options? What are people talking about?
Well, some folks think we should just keep the ISS going. Maybe upgrade it, give it a makeover.
Keep it running.
Right. Others are saying, hey, maybe it's time to let private companies take over.
Oh, interesting.
Like a commercial model.
So like space tourism and stuff.
Exactly. It could help with the cost.
And then we could use those resources for other things.
Like missions to Mars.
Right. What else?
There are also those who think it's time for something completely new.
Really? Like what?
Like a space station orbiting the moon.
Whoa, a moon base.
Yeah, or even a base on the surface of the moon.
Yeah. That sounds like science fiction.
It's closer than you think.
It's incredible how fast things are changing.
It's a really exciting time.
So this Crew-10 delay, maybe it's a good thing in a way.
How so?
It gives us time to think about where we are and where we're going.
Yeah, take a breath and plan the next steps.
Exactly. Like, what are our priorities? What's the best use of our time and resources?
And we can keep learning from what we're doing now.
The current missions, the research.
Yeah, and the astronauts who are out there on the front lines.
Pushing the limits.
Exactly.
That's a great point. And speaking of those missions and research, let's get back to the science happening on the ISS right now.
Oh yeah, Expedition 72.
What are some of the most exciting experiments they're working on? It seems like they're doing research in so many different areas.
It's pretty amazing.
Not just space stuff, right?
Hey, no, not at all.
The ISS is like a giant laboratory in space.
That's a good way to put it.
So what kind of experiments are happening up there right now?
Well, one of the big things is studying how microgravity affects the human body.
Yeah, we talked about bone density and muscle loss.
Right, but there's more to it than that.
Like what?
They're looking at the heart, the immune system, even how genes change in space.
Wow, so they're trying to understand what happens to every single cell in your body when you're in space.
Basically, yeah.
And this isn't just for keeping astronauts healthy, right?
Nope.
Could this research help people back on Earth too?
Definitely.
How so?
So think about it.
Yeah.
Studying bone loss in space could help us develop new treatments for osteoporosis.
Oh, I see.
And understanding how the immune system changes could lead to better vaccines or therapies for immune diseases.
So space exploration could actually improve our health here on Earth.
Exactly. It's pretty amazing.
It's like what we learn out in space comes back to help us here.
It's a win-win.
What about the materials science experiments? What are they doing there?
Oh, all sorts of cool stuff.
Like what?
They're growing crystals in microgravity.
Okay.
You can create materials with really unique properties that way.
Properties you wouldn't find on Earth.
Exactly.
So what could we use those materials for?
Well, potentially all sorts of things.
Okay.
Like electronics, medicine.
So we could end up with faster computers?
Maybe.
Or more effective drugs?
It's possible.
All thanks to experiments done in space.
Very cool, huh?
That's really cool. And what about Earth observation? How does the ISS help us understand our own planet?
It's in a perfect spot for observing Earth.
Right, high up above everything.
So they can track weather patterns,
Oh.
monitor deforestation,
Wow.
study ocean currents, all kinds of things.
They can even see the effects of climate change, right?
Exactly. It's giving us a whole new perspective on our planet.
And helping us figure out how to protect it.
That's the goal.
It's amazing how the ISS is helping us tackle these big challenges.
It's not just a symbol anymore.
It's a tool for making the world a better place.
It really shows what we can do when we work together.
Humans are pretty incredible when we put our minds to it.
And we're so curious, always wanting to learn more.
So we've talked about the Crew-10 launch delay,
The new Dragon spacecraft,
the astronaut training,
the crew handover,
all the amazing research happening on the ISS.
even the possibility of a moon base someday.
What's the biggest thing you've learned from all of this?
You know, I think it's that space exploration isn't just about going to new places.
It's more than that.
It's about expanding our knowledge,
Mhm.
pushing the limits of what we know.
And it takes a lot to do that, right?
Yeah, courage, ingenuity,
Working together, sharing ideas.
absolutely.
And ultimately, it's all for the benefit of humanity.
The discoveries we make, the technologies we develop,
It's all connected, and it seems like we're just getting started.
there's so much more to explore.
A new era of space exploration.
Still pretty exciting.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I have one last question for you. What are you most curious about?
Curious about what?
What mysteries of space do you want to see solved? What do you hope we discover next? Keep those questions in mind, keep looking up, and keep exploring. Until next time.